Hello and welcome to Stand With Us. I'm Roz Rothstein, your host, and today I think you're going to be fascinated with the gentleman that's here with me today. He actually survived Tahrir Square, and he's here to talk about it with us. He's seeking asylum here in the United States, has such a story to tell, and your name is Hussein
Mansour.
Mansour.
Yes.
Mansour?
Mansour.
Mansour.
Yeah.
Hussein Mansour. Welcome to America.
Thank you.
And welcome to welcome to JLTV Stand With Us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
So tell us, where do you even begin? How would you begin your story?
How do I begin my story? That's a tough question. I'm 24 years old, but I still have a long story because I started my adult life really early. I was raised and born in Cairo, Egypt. I was raised in a traditional middle-class Arab Muslim family, just like any other kid. And somewhere at the age of 14, 15, I started to develop some interests which were very different from my other, colleagues and kids and brothers and everything. I started to be interested in the world, read about it, especially our enemies, the Jews. So I started to read and study and learn languages as much as I can. I was fascinated, actually, by the idea that there is a whole world out there with a lot of complications and problems, and I really wanted to learn about it. Little by little, I started to develop my own views and understandings of the world, which happened to be very different than the mainstream Arab and Egyptian society. As you know, there is a lot of problems in the Middle East, and the culture of the Middle East is very hostile towards the Jews, towards Israel, towards the United States, towards the whole West.
Why do you think that is? Why do they do that?
I think it's several factors, actually. Religion is one factor. The clash between modernism and traditional societies is another, and political problems are another factor. So eventually, the whole culture started to develop a very hostile approach to the West. And of course, religion was utilized inside the process with the rise of radical Islam, especially since the 70s. Things start to get a lot worse. So in the Middle East, typically in the Arab world, since you're a little kid and you start your education, they teach you this stuff, that this world is mainly a world that's formed from us and them. Us being the Arabs, the Muslims, we are one world, and them, the Jews and the Americans and the Europeans and all of that.
So us and them, but my understanding is that no matter whether you're Arab or non-Arab, if you're Islamic, it's still us and them.
It is
that
still,
correct
it
or
is
not?
Still, yes.
Okay.
But Islam is very integrated into the Arab culture. So actually, it's very hard to distinguish between both. Pan-Arabism itself, when it started, it was started by Lebanese Christians who wanted to make something in the middle between the Islamic identity of the region and the Middle Eastern identity. But eventually, Pan-Arabism started to shift more towards Islamism. So Arabism and Islam are very connected. And for example, you can see Muslims from very far areas like Pakistan, like India, like the Philippines, who have very, very strange hostility towards Israel for no absolute reason. They have no connection to Israel. They have no mutual borders with Israel. But yet they hate it because Israel is making problems with the Arabs, who they are their Muslim brothers. So it's all connected, and this is one thing about how the Middle Eastern culture is totally complicated for non-Middle Easterners to understand, because it's a whole mix of mythology, religion, history, radical Islam, political interests. It's fascinating. And
So I take it you're still a Muslim.
I am ethnically a Muslim because I was born in a Muslim family. I don't practice Islam no more, but I'm ethnically, of course, I am a Muslim. So back to me. So when I started to develop those different ideas, started to read, started to learn Hebrew, which was a major step for me. Started to read Jewish literature, and then that
You started to learn Hebrew. Let me just ask you this. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do, yes.
Did anybody know you were learning Hebrew?
They knew, but they thought I was just crazy.
So they just wrote it off as, he's crazy?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. He's having a nervous breakdown in the other room studying Hebrew?
That's right. No, nobody actually took it seriously till the state security started to knock on our door.
Oh,
So-
how did somebody else find out you're learning Hebrew?
Mainly because of my activities. I started to find places that I can find Hebrew materials. Mainly it was the Israeli Embassy, the Israeli Academic Center, and the government didn't like it, of course. And eventually my fascination with Hebrew, with Jewish culture, brought me to a different understanding of the world, that the world is not a world of us and them, Muslims and non-Muslims. The world is a big, diverse human family. And it is beautiful because it's diverse, because we're all different and we develop different cultures, different music, different foods. And this is the beauty of the world.
Not the ugliness of the world.
Not the, exactly.
That's the beauty of the world.
That's the beauty of the world.
It's
yeah.
the tapestry of the world. It's not the
Exactly.
ugliness of the world.
Exactly. So, of course, they didn't like it. My family really didn't care. They were going through a hard time, and my parents were going through divorce, so nobody paid attention, which worked for my benefit because that gave me a bigger space of freedom to do what I want. Till I was at school, I decided to study Hebrew and Jewish literature in school. And
You could do that in school openly?
you can do that in school, however, it's not really serious.
Hebrew and Jewish literature in Egypt.
In Egypt.
You can study that
Yes, but in a bad way.
in a bad way. Okay. Tell us about the bad way.
It's funny. It's not academic. It's not objective. It's all just anti-Semite propaganda. That's how it is.
Okay, we're going to get back to anti-Semitic propaganda in a minute. We're going to take a commercial break. Hussein, we are very proud to have you with us and very anxious to hear the rest of your story. We'll be right back.